You are salt for the earth. These are among the first words of Christ to his disciples 2,000 years ago. They are also the words that ring in our ears and in our hearts tonight.
You are salt for the earth, all people. Salt for the kingdom of God. Shine the flicker of light, all people. Life in the kingdom of God. Bring forth the kingdom of mercy. Bring forth the kingdom of peace. Bring forth the kingdom of justice. Bring forth the city of God. You are light on the hill, all people. Light for the city of God. Shine so holy and bright, all people. Shine for the kingdom of God. Bring forth the kingdom of mercy. Bring forth the kingdom of peace. Bring forth the kingdom of justice. Bring forth the city of God. Bring forth the kingdom of mercy. Bring forth the kingdom of peace. Bring forth the kingdom of justice. Bring forth the city of God.
Bud Welch is an ordinary man who has been blessed with the extraordinary power to forgive. Bud?
Thank you, Bishop. It's indeed an honor to be here in Canada. And what I want to try to do this evening is place a face on one of the 168 that was killed in the Oklahoma City bombing. And that's my only daughter, Julie. And to do that, I want to tell you some things about Julie. But first, I want to tell you a bit about myself. I'm the third oldest of 8 children, raised on a dairy farm in central Oklahoma, and attended Catholic elementary school and Catholic high school in Shawnee, Oklahoma. I've been running a Texaco service station in Oklahoma City for the last 37 years. Julie was born in 1971. She attended the public school system in Oklahoma City K through 8. In Julie's 8th grade year, she met a little Mexican girl that had come as a foreign exchange student to learn English. Julie became her closest friend. And after going to school with that little girl for probably 6 or 7 months, Julie, I guess all in one day, it just kind of dawned on her this little girl was speaking English as well as she was. And Julie called me at my Texaco station that night, and the question my 13-year-old had for me was, Dad, do you think that I could learn Spanish as quickly as she learned English? And I reminded her that she was going to Bishop McGinnis High School in the fall. I'd always told her she's going to have a Catholic high school education. And I said, Bishop McGinnis offers a number of foreign language courses, and you'll have your chance. So I took Julie over to get her enrolled in August, and to my surprise, she signed up for Latin, German, and Spanish, because she was very definitely committed to learning a foreign language. In Julie's sophomore year, at the beginning of the sophomore year, she met a young man from France that was a foreign exchange student. And Julie trailed him most of that first week, I think bending his ear, trying to figure out how this exchange system works. And I remember she called me at my Texaco station on Friday night after that first week of school. And Julie had learned as a little girl that if she had something she really wanted badly, she'd call Dad at the Texaco station. But she'd wait till rush period to do it. And the reason she did that is because she got more yeses than nos. I was more agreeable when I was busy because I wanted to get her off the telephone. So Julie informed me that she wanted to apply for foreign exchange with Youth for Understanding and wanted to go to a Spanish-speaking country. Well, after a few weeks, she did apply with YFU. They had a scholarship program. She won the scholarship. And in July, after her sophomore year, she left to live with a family in Pontevedra, Galicia, Spain for 11 months. When she arrived there, she couldn't speak the language, but she got a crash course. Her host mom couldn't speak any English. Now, Julie studied there those 11 months. Pontevedra is about 20 miles from the Portuguese border, and the family had a lot of relatives and friends that lived in Portugal. So they spent weekends and holidays there, so she actually had the opportunity to learn Portuguese as well. She came back to Oklahoma City to complete her high school, and in her senior year, she'd applied at some colleges and universities. She got a letter from Marquette University out of Milwaukee in January of 1990, this being her senior year, informing her that they were having foreign language competition for scholarship. Would she care to compete? Well, she'd have to go to Milwaukee to compete. I called the airline. It's going to cost about $280. Didn't think it was a good idea because we were going to be in Milwaukee in about 6 weeks on spring break. I'd promised her we'd go on a college tour. Well, nonetheless, she waited a few days, and she called me back at my Texaco station, and I might add it was during rush period. And she said, Dad, you know, if I went to Milwaukee now, that'd be one town we wouldn't have to go to on spring break. Well, I bought her the ticket. She went and competed with 91 other kids and got lucky and finished first. And that was worth almost $6,000 per year for each of the next 4 years. Well, I learned about 4 weeks before spring break that she indeed had won. So I spent every free moment that I had trying to convince Julie that Marquette was the finest university in America. And I certainly didn't want her to lose that scholarship money. Well, Julie ended up enrolling in Marquette. And her freshman year, she went to Dominican Republic in early February with the Society of St. Vincent de Paul and spent 3 weeks there. She was so devastated by the poverty that she had seen in the Dominican Republic that when she returned back to America, she became a daily community and remained that way until her death. She returned back to Spain for her sophomore year of college. Marquette has a campus in Madrid. Came back to graduate in 1994. And over the 4th of July weekend, I took her back home to Oklahoma City, where she got a job shortly thereafter as Spanish translator for the Social Security Administration. A couple of weeks after having that job, she learned of a prayer group that met at Tinker Air Force Base at the Catholic Chapel. It was young people in their 20s, most of them single, and she started attending that. And I think the second week she attended, she met a young second lieutenant from the University of Arizona at Tucson that had graduated a year ahead of Julie. Well, Eric and Julie started dating, and they dated for the last 7 months of Julie's life. On the morning of April the 19th, 1995, Julie arrived at work at 8 o'clock after first going to Mass at 7 a.m. She had an appointment with a Mexican man that couldn't speak English at 9 o'clock. She left the rear of the Murrah building on the first floor where her office was to walk forward to the Social Security waiting room at the front of the building. And she got her client and a friend of his that had come along as well, and they were walking through the building, and we were about halfway back to Julie's office when the bomb went off at 9:02. That was on Wednesday morning, and all 3 bodies were found together on Saturday. All of my life, I had always said that I opposed the death penalty. Friends and acquaintances occasionally would say to me that if it ever happens to you, you'll change your mind. Well, I indeed did change my mind. The first month or so after that bombing, I didn't even want trials for Tim McVeigh or Terry Nichols. I just simply, I guess the best word is, wanted them fried. I was so full of vengeance and anger. And I struggled with the death penalty issue for another 10 months after abusing alcohol during that whole 10-month period, smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. And finally one day I went to the bomb site and I asked myself a series of questions about what did I need to be able to move forward. And 3 questions stuck in my mind, and that is, do you need trials to begin now? Do you need convictions? And do you need executions? And after struggling with that issue for the next 20 days or so, I finally was able to reach the conclusion that the day that we took Tim McVeigh or Terry Nichols from their cage to kill them, that it would be an act of revenge and hate. And revenge and hate is the very reason that Julie and 167 others are dead in that great city today. It was the revenge for what happened at Waco, Texas on April the 19th, 1993. And after being able to get that all reconciled and figure this all out in my mind, I was able to start remembering things that I had suppressed shortly after the bombing. And one incident was seeing Bill McVeigh, Tim's father, on television. A reporter was interviewing him in front of his home not far from Buffalo, New York. Bill was stooped over a flower bed, kind of like he was pulling weeds from it. And a reporter asked him a question, hold the microphone down. I don't remember any questions asked or answers given. But one of the final answers that Bill gave, he stood almost straight up and looked to his right into the lens of the television camera. And when he did, I could see a very large man, physically stooped in grief. And I could see a deep pain in his eye, and I recognized that pain because I was living that same pain. And I knew right then that someday I needed to go tell that man that I truly cared how he felt and did not blame him or his family for what his son had done. Well, 3.5 years later, I actually had a chance to go to Buffalo and Niagara Falls and speak out against the death penalty. And in planning that trip, I had told this nun that had called me from Attica Prison about the story of seeing Bill on television. Now, I had often thought about it over those 3.5 years. And so she arranged a meeting for me with Bill. I went to his home and spent the first half hour in his garden, and he invited me into the house. His youngest daughter, Jennifer, was there.